Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to continuing coverage for the Simply Race Endurance Series Season 4, Round 3 here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We're here at the fantastic 14-turn Road America circuit. Firstly, a bit of an apology there. We've had to get things back up and running, but now we're back with the number 3 Rocket Zancho Sim Sport car, which is now 2 laps off of the leader, having had a massive incident earlier on, about the best part of half an hour ago, which saw it drop from the lead after a massive snap-on of back-end sliding into the barriers, removing the rear wing, and then decided to get the car back up and running, tried to get back to the pits, and then had another incident with the wall a couple of corners later. Nevertheless, the car still circulating, it's fully repaired, back up to full racing speed, and now sits in 7th position. At the moment, Team Fordzilla looking to make it 3 for 3 as we head towards the final 2 hours and 10 minutes of this race. Red Shell Racing in 2nd position, Cam Sport in the number 8 round out the top 3, followed by Zancho Rocket Sim Sport in the number 2. Barracuda second in the standings coming into this championship round out the top 5 ahead of E-Team Brit. And the top 5 cars still on the lead lap, but Barracuda could find themselves maybe coming under pressure from Team Fordzilla if that gap extends by another 9 to 10 seconds in the next few moments or so to go off of the lead lap. E-Team Brit in 6th, Rocket Zancho Sim Sport 7th in the number 3, Cadan Casual Apex running in 8th position, which they pretty much have been doing since the beginning of the race, just the best part of nearly 4 hours ago when we went green. Avanti Racing in the number 11 round out the top 9 ahead of the number 5 car who completes the top 10, Necesidad de la Velocidad, which is necessity of speed in English. Orange Apex Racing and Precision Racing by BOA Esports rounding out the top 12. And with the way things stand at the moment, Team Fordzilla are doing a fantastic job at the moment. They have really cantered away from the rest of the opposition, and as I say that, with 2 hours and 10 minutes to go, they come in for another scheduled pit stop, and the duo of both Jack Ashton and Charlie Crossland have pulled off some of the most blinding outside overtakes. I think both myself and David Christie had our hearts in our mouths through both of them, and at respective different points of the circuit. And that just goes to show commitment and bravery comes in both spells. So at the moment, Team Fordzilla very shortly will be into their pit stop box, which they are at the moment. So they're about 25 seconds through that at the minute. So Red Shell Racing, who are still embroiled in a battle. It's a battle between them for second on the road at the minute, with 1 second separating the duo as we have a look on the main screen, showing that Cam Sport is not that far behind, and you can see that Cam Sport have been around about 0.2 of a second quicker through the previous lap. It was a 1 minute 50.421 for Red Shell Racing, and Cam Sport 1 minute 50.221, so exactly 0.2 to the decimal point separating the two. But Red Shell Racing this time start to respond, going nearly a 10th quicker in the process. So Team Fordzilla have been in the pits for 40.9 seconds, so probably a slight bit of underfueling there, just to keep the aggressive strategy that when I spoke to Jack Ashton a little bit earlier on, he said, yeah, we're slightly underfueling, but we're going for a more aggressive strategy. So they're picking up the pace, and that has the gap that they had between themselves and Red Shell Racing was at some point probably 77 seconds. It's now 4.1, but with the pace that Team Fordzilla have been showing, they've been running in the high 49s, the low 50s, pretty much for the majority of the race, apart from a couple of moments. I mean, especially with Charlie Crossland's first moment coming into the first set of pit stops. He went wide coming out of turn 1, and it basically cost them the lead, but they fought back, they knuckled down, they got there, put the bit between their teeth, so to speak, and managed to push forward. And the move that Charlie Crossland, I think, has got to be one of the moves of the season. His teammate Jack Ashton did exactly that. E-Team Brit now in the pits from 6th position on the road. So with the set of pit stops now coming in, it's going to change a little bit how the teams sit in terms of whether they're going to be on the lead lap or not on the lead lap, as the case may be. But Cam Sport still trying to push to close in on Red Shell Racing. This is the battle for second and third on the road at the minute. A yellow out in sector number 3 ever so briefly. But Cam Sport needs to be a lot closer than they are now in order to catch Red Shell Racing in the battle for P2. Gap now 7.5 tenths of a second. If they were within 3 tenths, like we saw Charlie Crossland when he managed to get past, I think it was the number 3 car, the Rocket Sancho Simsport car earlier on in the race, and put it around the outside and going through turn 1, and that had to be seen to be believed. So 2 hours, 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and the necessity of speed car, the number 5 car, we'll use the English vernacular on that one. They've also entered pit lane, currently sitting stationary for just the best part of over 30 seconds. E-Team Brit, 44 seconds on the pit stop there, and Team Fordzilla 40.9, but the gap between them and Red Shell is just a shade under 4.3 seconds as things stand, as Fordzilla will now have to get that all-important temperature into the tyres rather rapidly. As one of the cars coming out of the pits, that's the number 5 car, still in 11th position at the moment. Cadan Casual Apex have been in the trenches as well, having a massive 360 spin, but managing to keep it well away from the barriers. So the good for away from that perspective. The gap now extending between first and second position. But Cam Sport looking a little bit close this time, 6 tenths as they came out, and again we're denied of that battle. And hopefully I should have back with me, good evening, Mr. David Christie.
Evening, Race Control. It's good to finally actually have you back here, guys. I'm so sorry for all those technical issues, but it is sure as heck fantastic to hear and to see all the sights and sounds coming live and direct from Milton Keynes, as we are just on the cusp, can you believe, Alex, of 2 hours left to go in the race. We've both individually been fed and watered, and I'll tell you what, I feel a second lease of life now watching this race unfold. Cam Sport and Red Shell Racing, of course, not actually where they are in relation to their actual pit stop strategy. It will be Team Fordzilla ahead of Sancho Rocket Simsport, probably I would imagine by about that 12 and a half to 14 seconds. But what a race we've had, Alex, and yeah, talk about high drama and hijinks.
Yeah, chapters have still got to be written, David. And you know what they say, it ain't over until the checkered flag falls, and we still got, I think, plenty more twists and turns in the story to come.
I usually say it's not over till the fat guy sings, and after what I just had for supper there, that is definitely me, my friends. That is, I'll be calling that race very, very shortly. A very good evening to Philip Higgs on Facebook, who is joining us and doing an awesome job of tagging some of his friends to come and watch as well, as we've got just over 2 hours left to go. It's been a brilliant performance, really, by Team Fordzilla. They have had a close call with Sancho Rocket Simsport. They had a closer call with Rocket Sancho Simsport, who seemed to catch them on the bounce in terms of strategy, in terms of call-outs and things like that, until that moment for the number 3 machine. But, I mean, you've got to say, Alex, they are really, really, you know, they're giving us nothing to question whether or not they can walk away with this yet another win on the bounce.
You know what's even more interesting? The aggressive strategy has clearly paid off. I mean, it was, you know, talking before you came back, just reminding the audience of the two, I think probably the 2 moments of the season, the 2 overtakes done by both Fordzilla drivers. Charlie Crossland to get the lead going through the exit of turn number 1 round the outside, and then Jack Ashton does it again through the midpoint of the circuit. So Fordzilla have obviously got no qualms of putting it around the outside at places you would not even expect.
and they've done it oh so very much well. So if you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, a hearty warm welcome to the stream. What you are watching is round 3 of season 4 of the Simply Race Endurance series. This might look like just another sim racing event, but this one is very different, because if you look top right, that is actually what is going on. All of the competitors are based right now down in Milton Keynes at the Simply Race venue, the UK's premier sim racing entertainment venue. Head over to simplyrace.co.uk and you can be taking part in round 4 in just a couple of months' time. Get a couple of friends together, get yourself some practice down there on their state-of-the-art equipment, and let's say it could be yourselves that me and Alex are commentating on very soon. But 2 hours left to go in this race. 4 hours have flown by, Alex. I mean, we're into the tail end as CamSport head into the pits once more here. I don't really think we've got too much more in terms of drama that we can expect from these final 2 hours now. I think the dice surely has been rolled here, and a lot of these teams now will be easing off, thinking about just making that finish line now, I would imagine. Well, we'll get back, Alex, in just a couple of minutes' time there. But 2 hours left to go in the race here, and again, just some incredible action being seen here on track. So take you through the top 10. It's Team Fordzilla in the lead of the race from the number 2 Zancho Rocket Simsport machine, Barracuda in 3rd, with CamSport in 4th position, although they are in the pits just now. Red Shell Racing down in 5th, E-Team Brit in 6th position, Rockets Zancho Simsport in 7th, Kadan Casual Apex in 8th, Vanti Racing in 9th, and Orange Apex Racing doing a decent recovery drive, holding themselves down in 10th position. But as I said, I mean, these DPI cars, the Cadillac DPIs, a very tricky beast to tame around any circuit. I had the opportunity of trying to do R Factor 2 round Le Mans, and I was absolute garbage, absolutely hot garbage. I was round the French streets as we hit 2 hours left to go. And Alex, I mean, if you could pick any car from any class, I guess, GT3, GTE from DPI.
Oh, hang on!
What car would you like to give a go with?
We've had a yellow in Sector 1. It was CamSport that had just gone off track, big time. I just had this massive that's like literally. I don't know if that got picked up by the microphone I'm using at the moment. It got picked up, didn't? Mike Yao just told me massive off CamSport. I'm sure we're going to get a replay of that very, very soon indeed. And it might be that there's another car in... right, CamSport versus Red Shell Racing. Red Shell goes 2 wheels onto the grass. There's going to be a little bit of touching here. That's going to be... We'll just wait and see what happens up the inside. Right rear gets tagged, and it sends CamSport spinning. And you know what? I have to say, that's... how close to the wall do you want to be? You do not want to be within 1 car width of ending up right-hand side into the barriers right there. That was a complete and utter big style Code Brown moment right there for CamSport.
It certainly was. Also saying that Red Shell Racing are shown as behind them, so they've obviously given that place back to CamSport, which is the right thing to do. And oh no, that is E-Team Brit facing into the wall there. I think that might still be Hamish Easner behind the wheel. We'll get an idea on that. It certainly better not be Martin Buchan, otherwise he will not be remaining intact with his ego on that one. We'll get an ID shortly, but it didn't look like there was any contact with the wall there, Alex, and that is another a tale of woe for E-Team Brit today.
Yeah, I think we might be going to a replay very, very shortly on that one. But yeah, I mean, if that was Martin Buchan, I think you and I would have both thrown him under the double-decker bus at the same time. But that 100%. Just goes to show, yeah, 100% and then some, mate. That'll be a full proper send underneath. Right, let's go to the replay here. So through down the dip into the right-hander. So trying to get it through, get it turned, wheel on the grass, sends the tail end the other way. Oh, hard on the brakes. And did that touch the wall? That's going to be very close. Oh, that was like literally looking at the wheels, that's a wheel width away from spanking that into the wall well and truly front end in.
That is honestly the sim race equivalent of walking away and going.
Yeah,
just nothing to say here.
It's just like when you accidentally trip up over one of those really dodgy tiles that seems to be a little bit higher than the others, doesn't it? You go. It's like, moving swiftly
you try
on.
And walk it off like you meant to make it happen.
Yeah, it was a planned accident. All right, mate. No, just walk on by.
Fun and hilarity here at Road America. It carries on. 1 hour 57 left to go. We're at the tail end of the race here. There might be many other races happening all over the world, both in real life and in sim world as well, but I assure you, you either want to have multiple windows open or you're going to keep your focus here, because this is the one that you want to watch. Team Fordzilla 14.9 seconds, the best part of 15 seconds of a lead over Zancho Rocket Sim Sport. It's been an exemplary drive again for Fordzilla today. Driver of the day, 100% right now for that team has to be Charlie Crossland, Alex. An amazing effort that he put in, just a raw aggression. I think it set the tone for the team, and really, it's difficult for any other team to get anywhere close to that. And when I say aggression, I have to make it clear, Charlie Crossland did not put a foot wrong today. I've been, myself as a commentator, I've been hypercritical of Charlie in the past in his previous performances, but only because this is what he's capable of. This performance here, this is the Charlie Crossland that we know and we love. And when we see the frustration, we see the anger coming out, that's disappointing. That's not him. And we get a performance like today, oh man, it is something to behold. And that sets the tone for the rest of the team. The rest of the team see that and think, yeah, let's have this. And it's like in something like football, you have your captain, and they do the same. They set the tone for the rest of the team. It's up to them to really push things forward, and that's exactly what they've done today. They have not put a foot wrong, have Team Fordzilla, Alex.
No, I mean, the thing is that Charlie Crossland is a bright young talent, and he's one of those people that a lot of people know about him. And to be in this kind of environment, what we've got here at Simply Race for the Endurance Series, this is just going to add kudos after kudos after kudos multiple times over, and then people will say, oh, who is Charlie Crossland? And when he's one of the quietest individuals I know, but he is like when I've spoken to him on interviews previously, when you and I have commentated on, he's a man of few words, but he does his talking behind the wheel, and that speaks volumes.
Certainly does. 1 hour 54 left to go in the race, and this is, as we said now, this is where the countdown is actually on for the teams, because if you've not got yourself in a position where you're battling for something, as you can see from the majority of the field, the only real battle on track right now is for 3rd and 4th position. Yes, we've got pit stops still going through. We're about to have another raft of them in the next 15 minutes or so. But if you're not directly behind another car, then you're literally just trying to make sure that that car gets itself to the end of the race. I've also noticed now as well that we've got, several, maybe from E-Team Britain backwards, I think that is, that are a lap down right now. Again, just watching how this race has panned out here. This little battle with Camsport and Red Shell Racing, maybe taking a little bit of a quieter turn just now, but Alex, that's been raging on all through the race, hasn't it?
It has, and I think it's going to continue. It sets the tone for what's happening in this race. And, that incident, it was very, very close. It was nip and tuck, but obviously I would imagine that we might get a confirmation from race control whether anything gets thrown our way, reference any penalties issued. But that's why you and I are on commentary. We're not race control.
Well, I'm saying nothing on that one.
Exactly.
I find myself on the wrong end of many a comment, many a time. But that's absolutely right. We are not race control. And the thing is that whenever we speak or whenever we say things, it's purely from that. It's purely personal opinion from what we see. That's what we're here to do. We're here to entertain you guys and girls at home, and we're also here to pass our judgment, our understanding of sim races that we've watched all the way through, how they pan out. We use that to try and gauge on the race that we're watching here. And myself, I'll be the first one to say that I am usually the first one to jump at an incident and go, oh, that's terrible, that shouldn't have happened, XYZ shouldn't have done this. And occasionally I'll get it wrong, occasionally Alex, you'll get it wrong, and we always, where we realise we're wrong, we'll be the first people to jump in and say, yeah, I have to kind of step back. Actually, after looking at that, that's not actually what happens. And that's what we're here to do. And the great thing about race control, and this is the other thing, we talk about how much sim racing has evolved, Alex. Race control as well, that's another full-time job that's been created, because race control, they've got to sit there and for each incident they'll be poring over it for usually about 10-15 minutes from multiple angles, looking at all the telemetry data streams, looking at actually what happened and trying to make a judgment on that. Whereas we look at it, we'll maybe get one replay of it, 2 replays of it, and we usually pass a little bit of judgment, which is why we're always stating that it's just opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and at the end of the day, we do have to give a sort of a viewpoint on certain aspects from both our respective standpoints, and sometimes we, as you say, we might get it wrong, we might not get it wrong, we might court controversy, but that's part and parcel of what we do, being behind the microphone, David.
Exactly, and I may like causing controversy. But I was listening to myself there as I tried to say controversy. So you can, I love that when you're listening to yourself back on the feed at the same time as you're trying to talk as well. It really leads to some fun and interesting moments. Anyway, back to the race at hand. The gap between the leader and Team Fordzilla and Sancho Rocket Sim Sport, that's stabilised now. That is still 15 seconds on the best part of it. Cam Sport still fighting Red Shell Racing for that final podium position. Alex, just wondered, is there anybody, did you get a chance to speak to Max Spooner? And also, again, we've been asking almost every hour, what's the atmosphere like? And am I right in thinking, has it maybe got a little bit quieter now as the team's now starting to concentrate and just get the head down here?
That's what they've got to do now in this, this is a pivotal point of the race. We're into the last third of it, and any mistake has to be reacted to accordingly. There are, you could say that may be a bit of one-dimensional thinking there. However, if you've got a driver that has completely got the blinkers on, you do not want to disturb them, especially in this kind of environment. If it's at the sim rig at home, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. But here, where you've got ambient noise, you've got fans going off with computers going up at high speeds, depending on, the GPUs, the CPUs, the cooling systems on them as well, the equipment that they're surrounding them with, the force feedback on the direct drive and the steering wheels. Palms are getting sweaty, David. You, just like in the real world, if you're behind the wheel of a sim rig, you are perspiring. You are expending energy, both mentally and physically.
And what does the race actually mean to these drivers and these teams? You've obviously been there for many of the race finishes. What is the instant reaction from the teams as the cars go across the line?
I think firstly a sign of relief, David, because they've got back to the flag. The second thing is that point, that sense of achievement. That sort of like, guys, girls, we did a great job, or wasn't quite the result that we wanted, but hey, look on the bright side, here's where we finished. So you have to take the positive from every single situation and move forward. You learn from experience, and the general vibe whenever, like when we have the interviews on the podium, when the top 3 teams get their trophies, it just comes back to a semblance of normality. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Emotion, adrenaline can get you crossed up in many ways when it comes to racing, but at the end of the day, we're we're part of a community, a wide global racing community, whether it be in person, whether it be on your sims at home, on a Discord or a TeamSpeak server. Everyone, it's the human condition, David. And to be honest with you, that's what makes this event so special.
It absolutely does. It does, and I think the whole series of events is incredibly special, as we see Andre Pix Racing taking evasive manoeuvres and moving out the way of the number 2 Zancho Rocket Simsport, who, I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, they've tried their very best to throw their hat into the mix, but it's just not been happening today. Also looking further down, E-Team Brit still in that 6th position. They're looking fairly comfortable in that 6th position. Barracuda up into 5th there, but I believe, if I'm right in saying, Barracuda might have a pit stop to serve very, very soon, certainly within the next 5 minutes. But if that was the case, I mean, Barracuda, that's been a brilliant recovery drive from them today.
It has been. The biggest thing from that perspective is, as I said, how you come back from a situation, how you deal with it. And the first thing you've got to do, okay, you're going to be peeved, you're going to be annoyed, you're going to be frustrated. But the thing is that if you can get that out of your mind as quickly as humanly possible, you're going to do yourself a bigger injustice by not dealing with it as it happens. The quicker you get it out of your mind, the quicker you can refocus, recenter, and go for it.
Is that not a case of easier said than done in your experience, though, Alex? Certainly from my personal experience, it takes a number of laps. If you have a bit of a moment, and we saw obviously what happened with E-Team Brit after that initial accident, but when you have an accident, you know, do you not normally find that the drivers are a little bit spooked for at least a couple of laps?
Yeah, it's probably going to take them between the best part of 2 to 5 laps, maybe, to calm down, get the adrenaline levels to a mediatable level. Because by that, you know, by controlling as, oh my God, I don't believe this, David. I've just seen the fastest second sector of the race from Team Fordzilla. Guess who's behind the wheel? I'll give you 2 guesses, and you'll probably be right on the first one.
Charlie Crossland.
Yep, 37.888 through second sector on this lap. And with an hour and 3/4 to go, David, I think the way Team Fordzilla are, I mean, I've just looked at the splits. Zancho Rocket Simsport in second position have only mustered a 38.2, and they've just gone into pit lane. This race, we've had more twists and turns than the never-ending story, and they are going to come thick and fast. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Keep your eyes on who ends up on the 3rd step of the roster, because the gaps between Camsport and Red Shell Racing, 1.8 seconds as it stands right now.
And that gap has been closing down quite rapidly as well. I think it was about 2.2 a couple of laps ago, and now down to about 1.7, 1.8. So Red Shell Racing slowly ratcheting up the pressure, slowly turning that crank and getting things through, as we see Zancho Rocket Simsport, as we said, into pit lane. And again, if they were only able to muster a time that you know, wasn't good enough to take any time out of Fordzilla, and that was their end lap, that shows the pace that Team Fordzilla have got behind the wheel of that car. Just watching as well, Camsport in 3rd place. As you said, they've got, Red Shell Racing just behind them, but they're also starting to catch up on Zancho Rocket Simsport. Now, granted, yes, that they've still got a pit stop to do, but that's going to be extra pressure, extra stress on the back of that number 2 car, as they're only 3.5 seconds left to go. They'll be wanting to get those tyres up to speed. We've seen mistakes happen, haven't we, on the outlap from the pits? Yeah, indeed. Like we saw earlier on in the race after the first half hour.
And who's not to say that dramas could further unfold? As we say, the temperature is still dropping. The dusk is really starting to come down. It's not coming down significantly, but it's enough that the drivers are going to have to, their peripheral vision is going to be somewhat, not compromised, but they're going to have to readjust rather quickly in order to compensate for it.
Yeah, that's a great point here as the light starts to change here at Roads America with an hour and 3/4 left to go. We're in the middle of another pit stop stint. Pit stops currently happening every 35 minutes or round about that time, which means that drivers taking their pit stops within about 10 minutes from start to finish of each other here. Just now we've just seen Team Fordzilla about to go into the pits. Zanshu Rocket Simsport in second position have just pitted. Then it'll be Camsport and Red Shell Racing. They'll go into the pits as well, and then we'll see, as we said, Team Fordzilla. You can see that gap now, 90 seconds. That will go down to, I would imagine, if Fordzilla take another full pit stop, Alex, that gap will go down, I would imagine, to about 20 seconds. That looked like quite a long pit stop for Zancho in second place.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the case, David. I mean, if that's a full stop, that's probably going to be the best part of nearly 45 seconds. And when you think about it, Fordzilla, probably 20 seconds to get into the pit box. Full stop, so tyre change, refuel, possibly driver change as well. Put that at 42, then you've probably got about 10 seconds. Yeah, you're probably bang on the money with that.
We'll watch and see how it all unfolds anyway, but we're still currently watching Red Shell Racing in fourth position. 1.2 seconds now behind Camsport. Camsport actually still closing that gap up to Zanshu Rocket Simsport. That gap's now 3 seconds up in front. Bear in mind, these cars will be significantly lighter on fuel, but again, it's pressure, it's stress, it's anxiety that Zanshu Rocket Simsport absolutely do not need at this stage in the race. We've seen mistakes happen, we've seen accidents happen, and if it's me, I don't want to be near any other cars at this stage of the race. You've survived the best part of 4.5 hours in these cars. The last thing you want to do is tempting fate by cars that you're, in all honesty, not actually fighting with, because Camsport and Red Shell Racing, they're just pulling along, they're fighting their own battle as well. But I'm watching, Alex, I'm really curious actually, what is the comparison of lap times from Camsport and Red Shell Racing to Barracuda down in 5th?
Right, okay, lap times, previous lap, 1 minute 50.652 for Camsport, 1 minute 50.181 for Red Shell Racing. Barracuda, nearly a second adrift off of Red Shell Racing last time around.
So there you go. I was thinking they were maybe catching up, and it's absolutely the opposite then. So we'll just, we'll
sweep that one under.
It's not actually happening then, as we see the 8th place car, I believe that is of Cadan Casual Apex, just making its way across the start finish line. Of course I'm talking nonsense, because of course that's Camsport, isn't it, in third position, because there is that iconic red and white machine of Red Shell Racing, and the gap now down to just about a second as Camsport struggling to get past this car that's a lap down. The lights get flashed to the car in front, but quite honestly, he's not anywhere near the car in front. So Camsport are struggling right now. They have to get the pace done, because look at Red Shell Racing. Huge hit there on behind. Red Shell Racing come up the inside there, and that is Precision Racing by Boa Esports getting absolutely nuked from orbit by Camsport. And that was heavy contact, Alex. I'd be very surprised if there's not significant damage to the front of that car.
The thing was, it was Camsport giving the heads up to Precision Racing, just saying, look, I'm behind you. It's the customary and I think the beats per minute went through the roof, through my chest cavity, behind the rib cage. Like, I think it probably went north 210. And we're not talking miles an hour, we're talking beats per minute. And like, it was just like, they just went, yeah, we're gonna. The thing is that from how I saw it, Precision Racing got the flash of the lights from behind, courtesy of Camsport. Let's have a look at this replay that we're gonna see now. We're on board with Camsport, so they would have flashed the lights already. Now look where Precision Racing brake, the brake on the racing line, and Camsport are closing in at a high rate of knots. Bang, straight into the back, and then all of a sudden, tail end goes out, Red Shell up the inside.
Yeah, it's not the best of incidents. However, there is also the argument that Cam Sport, while they wouldn't have got that car broken in time, maybe they could have tried to take evasive action to send it to the right hand side and not actually hit the car. I don't know. We'll wait and see how that one's determined. But either way, I mean, I don't like that, because that is now going to send Cam Sport into a red mist right now. There's already been contact between them and Red Shell Racing, and I'd hate to see tempers flaring again. There is your race leader, Team Fortzilla, into pit lane with a comfortable 90-second gap over Zancho Rocket Simsport. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. We'll keep an eye on what that is. That's E-Team Brit again. From the looks of it, their time is going up and through the roof, Alex, and I fear that that's going to be another incident for E-Team Brit there.
Well, penalty has just come through. Right, okay, confirmation coming through from race control. There has been a penalty issued to Precision Racing by BO8 Esports. Just waiting for race director Grant Lyman he's just frantically tapping away in the race direction calls chat here on our Discord. So we're just going to wait for that to come through. But that could be maybe due to that incident, because in some respects, yeah, you could class that it's a 50-50 right. Unpredictability under blue flags, which led to a collision stroke change of positions. I thought that might be the case, because they were on the racing line. And the thing is that if they'd have pulled to the left a little bit earlier, might have actually been a bit of due diligence there from Precision Racing, but the closing rate was quite significant as well. And we're now going to go to another replay. This is coming through turn 8. This is the E-Team Brit car coming through the corner. Power just being applied, maybe a slight tad too early. And again, you know what? There's two incidents. Oh, that was very close. Reversed the car back, quickly put on the anchors, then got the car through a 3-point turn there. But that's twice that the E-Team Brit cars had two massive moments, and luckily enough, the car has not hit the wall.
Well, yeah, it might be lucky in that, but unfortunately they've just got themselves a penalty, so E-Team Brit are going to have to come through, I presume, for a drive-through on that one. The gap between Red Shell Racing now and Cam Sport now just 9/10 of a second, so they're going to be together on track very, very shortly. Team Fortzilla, though, still in the lead of this race by 15 seconds after a 43-second pit stop, so that is still an extension of the gap that they had by about 8/10 of a second. But here we go then, Cam Sport closing down that gap to Red Shell Racing. Red Shell Racing as well, actually, just 5 seconds behind Sancho Simsport there. But remember, Red Shell Racing and Cam Sport are going to have to come in very, very soon to do a pit stop here at Road America. An hour and a half left to go, or 1 hour 34 minutes to be precise. And again, all eyes turn now to this battle between Red Shell Racing and Cam Sport. And it's a strange one, because Red Shell Racing were bringing in that gap, but now they're in front. They look like they're the vulnerable one to Cam Sport here.
Yeah, very much the case. I think, the pace that we've seen from Cam Sport all race long has been absolutely brilliant. I mean, considering the fact they've not been in contention for the race victory, we always knew that Team Fortzilla would be the ones pretty much at the sharp end of the field. E-Team Brit now coming through into the pits to serve that penalty, I would imagine. But yeah, when you look at the best of the rest, so to speak, Cam Sport, one of the more recognised teams here at Simply Race with the Endurance Series, and also the British Championships. Ben Brown won, Chris Wilson, two very well-known drivers here at Simply Race. They've competed on a multitude of, with the Clios and the touring cars as well. It's really good to see that, they time and time again do impress us, even though sometimes we're not always mentioning every single team. We do mention every single team, but when we concentrate on a single entity in terms of teams, Cam Sport do have some pretty good pedallers.
Absolutely do. So, Alex, the question being then, an hour and 30 minutes left to go in this race. I think that Team Fortzilla have done everything that they need to do to secure this lead. I can't see that changing in the next hour and a half. Zancho Rocket Simsport, I think, are comfortable in this second position. But At what point do you think Zancho Rocket Sim Sport get the message that it's second place, or do you think they'll get the message? Do you think that they'll just keep pushing for the sake of pushing in case something different happens?
Yeah, it's going to be about that call. When that call comes through, it'll be like, yeah, you need to just get out of the, because one of the things is if you've got two teams from pretty much, well, they are very much from the same stable, they will know if that's the other sister car coming up behind them, first thing they're going to do is not impede them. And one of the biggest rules in motorsport is never take out your teammate. You don't want to impede your teammate either, especially when one has got the better strategy, but also has had the better bit of luck, lady luck on their side as a direct result.
So we're still watching this battle here between Red Shell Racing and Cam Sport, the Cam Sport machine. Now just 0.8 of a second. Red Shell Racing losing out big time after that one. And E-Team Brit, after the penalty now, lose that 7th position. They may get it back after Rocket Zancho Sim Sport have to go in for a pit stop here, but that is leaving things a little bit too close for comfort for that 6th place fight right now. We're on board with Cam Sport then coming through the carousel, that long right-hander here. This is a beautiful on-board shot there, and E-Team Brit going very wide again. I wonder if that is another incident for that they're just allowing your race leader here, we're being told from our broadcast team. But here we go then, Cam Sport on the run down through Kettle Bottoms in towards Canada Corner then, on the brakes into this right-hander again, going from 170 miles an hour down to around about 60 to 70 miles an hour through the right-hander, through the left at turn 13, on the run down to turn 14 again, right on the back, and they've got a car in front of them, Alex. We've seen this before, we've seen it all end in tears right now, and into the pits then goes Red Shell Racing, and Cam Sport stay out on track. And I wonder if that was Red Shell Racing deciding enough is enough right there.
I don't think they're racing for position. The last 3 times we've had Cam Sport come within a whisker of Red Shell Racing, I think they're on different strategies. I think Red Shell probably this is not assumption, this is hazarding a guess, which maybe Red Shell Racing might be looking at getting P4 at the end of this, but when you look at the battle for P3, I would say more than likely it's going to be between Cam Sport and U Barracuda for the final step of the rostrum. That's what I think here.
That's a interesting call there, and we'll see if you're right on that one. I think that you're definitely in with a shout. My concern is still U Barracuda, because yes, they are dropping away to a certain extent, but they're still within a shout. They're still now, they're on 4th place. They're on a completely different strategy to the likes of Cam Sport and Red Shell Racing here. But as we go with an hour and a half left to go, it's been constant toing and froing from all of the teams, all of the way through the field here at the Simply Race Endurance Series. And this is one of the most fun things about sim racing. If you are brand new to sim racing, or you're a seasoned veteran at sim racing, you'll know this, that it doesn't matter if you're fighting for position or what position you're fighting for. As long as you've got somebody within eyesight of you on the track, you've got that motivation. You've got
number two's off. Number two's off out of the final corner.
Or maybe you've got a car behind you. As long as you've got a car near you, and that is Zancho Rocket Sim Sport. That is your 2nd place car, and that is going to be Cam Sport just a second behind them. That is a huge moment there for the 2nd place car there. Don't think there was any damage there, but that is going to put them under incredible pressure from Cam Sport here. I wonder if there's anything has happened to that car there. Just having a look here, and I don't think there is anything that's actually happened to the Zancho Rocket Sim Sport machine. Certainly looks like he's going to be trying to get the position there. I believe, is that the Precision Racing by Boa Esports machine. Again, I'll get an idea on that car in just a second, but second place lives to tell the tale another day. If there was any concerns about the race lead, they're well and truly gone into the bush right now. And again, this is what we have to watch out. We've seen it before where an accident can happen and it can lead to another one within quick succession. That time is going up very rapidly. That gap was about 17 seconds. It's now 21 seconds. It's now 22 seconds. So Zancho Rocket Simsport losing time hand over fist. And I wonder if there is, as I said, a little bit of damage to that car. Maybe even just to the confidence of that car. And the back marker there allows Camsport to head through. And that gap to Camsport is starting to go up as well. And wow, I mean, this is an awesome, awesome race that we're seeing unfold in front of our very eyes here. And yeah, thrilling stuff to unpack. So Team Fordzilla in the lead by 22 seconds from Zancho Rocket Simsport here. Let's have a replay of what happened. Oh, now that is that's nowhere near as bad as what I originally thought. He's just run wide and into the gravel trap there, but that's a very peculiar incident going into that last corner. So yeah, very, very unusual. See that Camsport into pit lane. Are they going to come out in front of Red Shell Racing? That's what we have to find out. There, your race leader then, Team Fordzilla in the leads. As we said, 22.5 seconds. I love the fact that that's now Barracuda back up into third position there, 22.5 seconds behind Zancho Rocket Simsport. And Alex, a huge moment there for second place. Apologies, Alex has obviously decided to put new batteries into the wireless receiver, which is very much appreciated. We'll hopefully stop Martin Buchan stealing all of the batteries again. But again, I mean, a huge upset for Zancho Rocket Simsport, and again, it's a question of, was it just a case of them pushing too hard? They're now 23.5 seconds behind your race leader. Camsport and Red Shell Racing have went into the pits there. And, I mean, Alex, I can hear you in the background there. What do you think is going to come of that incident?
Tough to say, David. Realistically, I mean, I was busy switching mics, and now I'm actually on my roving setup that I used at the first round at Bud for the 12 hours. So, yeah, it's a difficult one to call, but we'll have to see and wait what the jury is out on that one. But Camsport and Red Shell Racing going through into turn number 8. They are literally line astern going through the corner, David. We've seen these two battling away all race long, and I did say that we might see some battles continue right up until the checkered. This could be one of them.
Yeah, certainly could do. Barracuda into the pits then, and just watching as Team Fordzilla gets so close to Orange Apex Racing here. As we said, Barracuda into the pits. Camsport have pitted. They stay ahead now of Red Shell Racing, so they've got the jump done on Red Shell Racing. Now that's interesting because Red Shell Racing were in the pits ahead of Camsport. They took less time in the pits, but yet they've still dropped back behind the number 8 machine. So a curious turn of events there. But again, realistically, that surely now means that Fordzilla are in the home straight of this.
Yeah, you could very much say that. I mean, we've still got 1 hour and 24 minutes remaining on the clock here to go, and it's anyone's guess what is going to happen behind Team Fordzilla. It's everything else that we've been building to this crescendo point, and this crescendo point hasn't quite happened. We've come close with heart in the mouth moments. You and I both know that over the past, God crikey, I can't believe I'm saying this, 4.5 hours. I mean, it really has gone that quickly, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. It's gone in the blink of an eye here. And there's so many things that I never saw coming, the likes of both the Zancho Rocket SimSport and the Rocket Zancho SimSport machines coming into grief. Thankfully for the number 2 Zancho Rocket SimSport, it wasn't as bad as we initially believed, because we saw the car rejoining. We thought, oh no, has it hit the wall? And it just had went wide at turn 14. But again, it's bits like that that shape the season, that shape the championship, and that shape days like this. Fordzilla, quite frankly, haven't put a foot wrong today.
No, they haven't, and you know they've come out fighting. That's what we have. That's what we've seen over the first 2 rounds, and here we've seen it again here at Road America. And granted that a lot of drivers are battling away for position, but just like clearly standing out that way is mind-blowing to say the very least, David.
Just watching the Zancho Rocket SimSport machine then coming down through into turn 8 with an hour and 20 minutes left to go here. Meanwhile, this is the sister car down in 6th position. The Rocket Zancho SimSport machine just behind the race leader, and this must be incredibly galling. Oh, hello, this is a little battle we've got going on track here then. This is for P3 and P4. This is Red Shell Racing trying to hunt down Cam Sport, and the battle continues. We're absolutely loving this one. While we cut, just to give you a bit of context there, Alex, we saw a brief shot of Rocket Zancho SimSport, the number 3 machine in 6th place, just going a lap down to Team Fordzilla. How much is that one going to hurt?
Oh, it's going to smart. there's no question. There's no question on that as such. And you know, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to smart. But they'll wake up tomorrow and go. It's always that coulda, woulda, shoulda situation, isn't it?
Well, that's absolutely spot on. It's that whole thing of missed opportunities, and hindsight is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But Red Shell Racing, thankfully, don't have that much hindsight right now, as they are chasing down Cam Sport here.
Funnily enough, I've got Stuart Ross French, the other side of Phil Webb, to my immediate right-hand side. So I'm sure we might have to get him to jump on with me in just a second if I can get his attention. But he's busy in discussion at the minute. But yeah, this battle is the one that I a little bit wide, a little bit of dust being kicked up by Cam Sport there. I'm just trying to see who is behind the wheel. I think Chris Wilson is standing behind the pod at the moment. Can't see Ben Brown at the minute. Can't exactly miss him. He's a lot taller than me. I feel like I've got my Richard Hammond complex being reignited once again whenever I talk to him.
Yes, it's Chris Kamara. I'm not sure, Jeff, is it? What happened? Really? Just for the benefit of our viewers at home, actually, Alex, obviously we can see you now in picture. Just describe what we can actually see there in terms of the pods.
Well, we've got 15 pods here at Simply Race. You've got the seating area just down here. You've got the bar immediately straight in front of me. And no, I'm not eyeing up the spirits on the top shelf. Coffee machine, beers. Yeah, I know you are. But the good thing is we've got our podium, we've got a BATAC machine, we've got a couple of wheels and tyres just behind me, and then you've got the seating area, so you can see Max Spooner, Martin Buchan and Charlie Crossland having a conversation there. So it's really good to see that there is a social atmosphere to this event as well.
And that is a very, very big point of this Simply Race Endurance Series, isn't it? The fact that obviously Charlie Crossland, part of Team Fordzilla, having a chat with Martin Buchan and Max Spooner from E-Team Brit, and yet that's not an uncommon thing. It's a very social, very friendly atmosphere. There will be a lot of inter-team rivalries, but that usually ends out on the virtual racetrack. And from what we've seen, there's a lot of cheering and high fives that go on as soon as those cars end up crossing the line, Alex.
Yeah, with 1 hour, 18 minutes and 38 seconds still to go on the clock. It's anyone's guess, David, but the gap now has started to extend between Camsport and Red Shell Racing. The gap looks to be about 2 seconds as things stand.
Awesome stuff. And as we see Red Shell Racing just making their way down 2 seconds behind Camsport just now. They're really pushing hard, not able to actually get any inroads right now, and that gap going up now ever so slightly. And interesting to see how this one is all going to pan out. Barracuda still cannot believe they've managed to get themselves up into P5 just now. That's a remarkable recovery drive from them.
Yeah, it is indeed. Kudos to them. To come back from that sort of deficit to now be where they are, it's a bit of a heartwarming story. You want to see teams battle it out. You also want to see teams having a great comeback charge, and that comes with part and parcel of any kind of race these days.
It really is, though, isn't it? And the other thing about it is the fact that what I love about this championship, Alex, is the fact that they've got to master different vehicles. As I see our fearless journalist off into the field with the laptop. He's off to have a chat there.
Yes.
It's one of the fantastic things about that venue, isn't it? As I see, you've got somebody beside you. Do we have another interviewee?
We do indeed. Stuart Ross French, one of the guys behind Red Shell Racing alongside Tim Lane. Stuart, it's been a war out there for you and you guys at Red Shell and Camsport, hasn't it? Because it's like only a couple of seconds with, about a minute, an hour and a quarter still to go?
Like, the field of today, I just can't believe how close it is. That last session, I came out of it after doing an hour, basically, of qualifying laps, it felt like. And even then, the gap between me and Matt in the Camsport car was just, it never closed, it never got bigger. The quality of racing today is just insane. So for us to fight back from 9th on the grid up to potentially 3rd, really happy with that performance today.
I think it's very interesting with regards to the strategies that we've seen from respective teams, that when we see a really great battle between you guys at Red Shell and then Camsport, we then see you guys, after a few laps, end up peeling off into the pits to have your scheduled stop for putting up tyres and fuel onto the car. I mean, is the final step of the rostrum what you guys are aiming for in realistic possibilities?
We want that final stop, but we want that final step. But I think we're treating this as a 6-hour sprint race, essentially. So we've kept the fuel use roughly in the ballpark where we want it. We're still within our strategy that we want. I don't know what everyone else's strategy is. I don't know why they're fuel saving so much, whether there's something in it that I've not thought about or we've not thought about. But we'll find out in 1 hour and 15 minutes whether it's worked or not.
I mean, obviously the tow, very, very important around here at Elkhart Lake at Road America, but obviously that comes coming out of turn 14, up the elevation change, over the start-finish line into T1. What's sort of like just to give the folks at home an understanding, how much speed, in addition to what you're probably running at, probably the best of 300 kph, going into the braking zone, into turn 1 from 6th gear, dropping it down probably to 2nd or 3rd, is the car pushing nearer to 315, 320 kph when you're getting into that turbulent air?
Yeah, you're looking at about 7 mile per hour increase being in that tow. The only issue is that you rely on that aero to get the exit corner perfect. So being in the tow that's why you see all the cars are sitting about a second behind each other, because any closer you start really wearing through the tyres, and you just can't do the rest of the track. You'll end up just washing out, especially that long right-hander. You just can't get that right. You just wash out every time. So you have to sit around about a second behind and just wait for that opportune moment to pounce and get past that car in front. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck in the tow and chewing through your tyres for the stint. But yeah, if you do get a good run, it's about 7 mile an hour gain. So it's like you're walking past almost.
Yeah, which probably approximates to an additional 11, 12 kph down the main start-finish straight. Stuart, wishing you and all the rest of the crew at Red Shell Racing the very best of luck for the next hour and 13 minutes.
Cheers. Thank you, Alex.
David, back to you.
Thanks very much, Alex. Having a chat there with Stuart Ross French and some interesting insights into the race so far and their experience with the cars here at this Road America circuit. As we said, 1 hour and 13 minutes left to go in the race. We're about 5 minutes away from our next stint of pit stops. It feels like it's everybody's in for a pit stop at one stage or another. That gap now between first and second place is just 23.2 seconds in these DPI cars. Somewhat slightly different to the real life Daytona 24, where P1 and 2 just separated by 0.6 of a second with 50 minutes left to go in their race. I certainly think that Zancho Rocket Simsport will be channeling all of the energy of the real life number 2 machine to try and get that gap right back down, and they'll be hoping with just 15 minutes left to go that they only have half a second between them and the leader. Stranger things have happened, and it's certainly not without the realms of possibility. Track limit penalties have been coming thick and fast, and certainly we haven't seen them for the top 3, but they could be a thing. That battle with Cam Sport as well with Red Shell Racing, now that's been going on all through the race there, as we see on JPEX Racing just moving out of the way of the car before, but Cam Sport and Red Shell Racing, that gap was around about 2 seconds, and that is now going all the way out. Red Shell Racing are completely dropping off pace wise. I wonder if there's a strategy change. Alex, we are on the verge of heading into our 5th hour of racing here. I mean, what's your thoughts on the race that we've seen so far today?
One word: spectacular, David. Spectacular. Because I mean, when you get this kind of atmosphere, you get this kind of environment, everyone's on the same, in the same boat. Same equipment, same car, same circuit, same conditions, and they're battling within earshot of each other. And just seeing people having conversations away from pods, and yeah, it's a great atmosphere, and I think it doesn't matter who's on. Okay, yes, of course it does matter in terms of the championship for season 4 of the Simply Race Endurance Series, but I think at the end of it all, the fact that we're able to do this again is just glorious. It's great, and when you come and when we finally get to work together side by side, like brothers in arms in June, mate, for the 24 hours of Spa, you will understand 100% of what I'm talking about right now, and Paul will probably veto the same sentiment as well from when he was down here for the second round at the 6 hours of Imola on the 28th of January.
I'm genuinely scared for
20th of November.
I'm genuinely scared for us getting it all together on that final race, because the level of energy that's going to be radiating from all of us, Alex, we're going to be absolutely hyper. Thankfully, it's not just potentially going to be the last one. I'm going to try and make it down for the second last one as well. We can maybe do that one side by side as well. That would be awesome if we could do that as well. That would be something special.
Oh, definitely. I think you've got to make a beeline for that one, Mr. Christie. For those wondering at home, it is the 2nd of April, first weekend of April. Funnily enough, the good thing is that with my work commitments, I'll be working at Wilton Mill the day afterwards, so not too bad. A nice bit of sim racing on the Saturday and some karting to look at on Sunday.
It's living the dream. We are living our peak life right now. That's what's happening here, Alex. It's amazing stuff. But an hour and 10 minutes left to go here, and really we have been spoiled with all the action as we see a penalty for Red Shell Racing coming in. So any hopes of them catching up to Camsport? And what's happened to Camsport? I can hear groans in the background, and that car, the relative, is falling away. We need to find out what has happened to Camsport Racing, because their relative is they are dropping back pace wise very, very quickly indeed, Alex. And I did hear a big groan going up in the background there.
Oh, I think someone might have run out of fuel, David. Oh, dearie me. I heard the following: oh no, in that respective order. And straight away, I think it might be Red Shell, mate. I think it might be Red Shell.
Well, Red Shell are into the pits because they had a penalty, but actually, hang on, I'm just realising it's. I'm just imagining things here.
Okay, right. I'm going to cut across you here. Massive! Oh no! We've had dramas for the leaders. Dramas for Fordzilla, mate. I've just clocked out of pod 1. Oh no! What has gone on there?
Oh, okay.
I literally saw. I'm not too sure. I saw something happen. I'm not too sure if it might have been an issue, but it might be. Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is that the no from Red Shell Racing was track limits.
Yeah, they got a penalty for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some delving. I'm gonna have a quick chat with Grant Lyman, our race director.
No problem. Right, we'll keep an eye on that one then, as there is confirmation of the track limits infringement for Red Shell Racing. That was one too many for them, and wow, that was absolutely huge, Alex.
Yeah, I've just seen it on the screens here at Simply Race. It was Orange Apex and, oh God, the closing rate. And then all of a sudden, Fordzilla into the back of Orange Apex. And that was going into the left-hander. I've got no words on that one. I've only got one angle to see it from, though.
Oof, that does not sound pleasant. So, Fordzilla obviously still... they're still carrying on right now, but it's a question of how much damage do they have to that machine. They've obviously lost a little bit of time, and by my calculations then that's going to bring that, when they go in for a pit stop, if they repair any damage that's there, they may have to take about maybe 5-10 seconds worth of repairs.
Jack Ashton's got the low fuel light showing on his screen at the moment, so he will be due a pit stop imminently.
Oh, well, I did say the drama and the intrigue keeps on going, and it certainly does here, Alex, with just over an hour left to go. That would be the perfect setup for a thrilling final hour. Although, what I would say is, that front of that Fordzilla machine, not looking too happy as it goes very, very wide into turn number 8 there. I'm wondering if there's either some overheated brakes or potentially a little bit of tyre wear issue on that car, but that thing is not looking happy, and that has actually dropped Fordzilla back behind. Now we saw that the Rocket Zancho Sim Sport machine was already a lap behind, and now that's obviously got past, so they've lost about 5 to 8 seconds on that then.
Well, Jack Ashton had the presence of mind to get back out on circuit as quickly as humanly possible. However, I have a guest with me, E-Team Brit team boss, Max Spooner. Finally, good to catch up now, because we communicate on a regular basis, you and I, obviously, with the E-Team Brit GT Challenge, which is soon to hit its season finale on February 7th. But a lot's been happening at E-Team Brit, a lot of new drivers, a lot of outreach onto different platforms as well. Go on. There we go. Hello. Let's wave to everybody. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So a lot has been happening at Team Brit. Just tell us about some of the more recent developments. You've taken on a lot of drivers, expanded your remit in terms of platforms that E-Team Brit are competing on now.
Yeah, so we are competing on GT Sport, and of course that will be GT7 when that happens in March. But yeah, we've got new drivers who've joined the team, with Yvonne and Sophie in particular. Also, yeah, we've got a new look. The new shirts will be coming hopefully in time for the beginning of March. And yeah, we're moving into new championships. We're going to be racing in the IVRA HyperX series on iRacing. And then, of course, we've got GT Challenge Season 4 coming, which this time around is going to be sponsored by VBox Sim, which we're really looking forward to.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first here on the Simply Race Endurance Series. But obviously, another strong start for the team with Martin Buchan putting 4 stints behind the wheel. As always, I mean, he was up into P4. We know that obviously there are drivers such as Hamish who are still, are going cross-platform from Assetto Corsa Competizione to our Factor 2. We know that Hamish does what she works very, very hard indeed. But how's the feeling in the camp? I mean, obviously, yeah, it hasn't been an easy one. There's been a couple of spins during the mid part of the race, but how are you guys feeling? Because obviously you're one of several teams that is battling for more than likely a top 3 position in the championship standings come the end of the 24 hours of Spa in late June.
Well, exactly that. I mean, when you consider with Hamish racing in GT Challenge Season 2, I think she was finished 10 laps down, and now she's here racing with some of the big names in our sport. So she's come a long way, and I think there's still that disparity in our performance, and Martin has been putting in some mega stints for us to put us in a position that Mike and Hamish can capitalise on. So yeah, it's just a case we just keep working hard, keep improving, and just slowly but surely climb that pecking order, so that come Spa we'll be in a really strong position.
Well, Max, thanks for talking to us, and all the very best of luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you very much.
David, back to you.
Thank you very much. So pit stops have been done and dusted, and not that much time lost for the Team Fordzilla machine. Still in the lead then, 20 seconds ahead of Zancho Rocket Simsport, despite that earlier accident with the Orange Apex Racing machine again, and trouble navigating lap traffic. That's exactly what we saw previously from some of the other cars, and again it could have gotten so much worse as we go with 62 minutes left to go, just over an hour left to go in this halfway point of the Simply Race Endurance Series Season 4, and we are at the 6 hours of Road America. Again, a thrilling race here. David Christie and Alex Goldschmiidt bring you all of the action here. Camsport in third position, with Red Shell Racing down into fifth position now. I believe that is a genuine position change now for Barracuda, because a penalty for Red Shell Racing means that they get up there. Rocket Zancho Simsport down in sixth position, E-Team Britain seventh, Avanti Racing in eighth position, Cadan Casual Apex in ninth, and Need for Speed in 10th position, with 11th place going to Orange Apex Racing, and just behind them Precision Racing by Boa Esports down in 12th position. An hour ago, Alex, this has genuinely felt like it's flown by. Honestly, I cannot believe we're coming into the final hour here.
I did say the twists and turns would be coming, and boy have we had quite a few. Track limits penalty for Red Shell Racing, and then obviously the dramas for Team Fordzilla. That's why I have sort of like kept a wide berth of Fordzilla at the moment, because I just want to make sure that, you know, if I had approached them, then probably there might have been a little bit of not unwanted comments, but I think sometimes you just need to sort of walk away from it and leave them to it, let them get the race out of the way, and then talk about it afterwards, because then they'll be in a better frame of mind. But yeah, it just goes to show that with the dusk, there's still some interesting dynamics happening. I mean, Camsport is within 5 seconds of Zancho Rocket Simsport at the moment for second and third position. There's still possibly more to come, but I mean, if you know, we're heading into the sixth and final hour, the golden hour, as it were, and yeah, let's see what happens, David.
Well, it's going to be a thrilling end to the race, no matter what, as we click over the final hour in this amazing race. It's really anybody's guess how this is going to end. We thought it was going to be comfortable plain sailing for Fordzilla. We saw that contact with with the Orange Apex Racing now, who are into the pits there, and yeah, it was always going to end in tears for them. But 59 minutes, I mean, genuinely, I surely there can't be that much more left to happen in the final hour of the race, Alex, he says, touching every part of the that he can.
Touch wood, keep the actual saucepan on standby, just in case you need to sort of like whack it across your temples just to knock some sense back into yourself after that comment.
Say nothing on that. Absolutely nothing on that. Yeah, no
comment indeed.
Oh, goodness me. But yeah, I mean, realistically though, I mean, what can our viewers expect from this final hour? It looks like, from our experience, normally at this point, unless you've got a car within a couple of seconds of you, usually you're just going to be trying to consolidate the position you've got.
Yeah, very much the case. I think the more interesting dynamic will be the battle for second and third position between Zancho Rocket Simsport in the number 2 car and the number 8 car in third place of Camsport. You know, with the gap being less than 5 seconds, who knows what might happen. I mean, looking at the lap times between the two over the last tour, it was 1 minute 50.564 for Zancho Rocket, and then Camsport is 1 minute 50.871. So Zancho Rocket Simsport have the advantage, but will they have that advantage in a few moments' time? Because if Camsport are able to use the advantage of slipstreaming using backmarker traffic, just like they have done down the main start-finish straight, if they can claw their way to close up to backmarker traffic, use that slipstream, that's going to help them save increments of fuel and might even help to save the tyres a little bit, maybe helping them to put that stint they're currently on a little bit longer, to be completely truthful.
And, I mean, I'm looking at Barracuda in 4th position there. I mean, obviously they're 21 seconds behind Camsport right now, but we've spoken ad nauseum almost about how well they've done in a recovery drive. The weird thing is right now, they have still the fringe chance of a podium position right now.
They do. It's not without the within the realms of possibility. They're, 22 seconds behind Camsport. So, yeah, I mean, remember the first round of the championship. Radicals Online trying to chase down Team Fortilla. They halved the gap within the last hour, and it all came down to when Radicals Online were going to have to pit, and they had to pit for fuel. They didn't need to change tyres, but they pushed. So whether that can be true of Camsport and Barracuda to maybe pick up the pace, but with the way Barracuda is performing at the moment, 1 minute 51.2, it looks like that's fast slipping away. We could get a better indication maybe with, I would say, 40, maybe 30 minutes to go.
Well, we'll certainly find out. 56 minutes on the clock here. Fordzilla still out front and in charge, looking very comfortable. Obviously, no real big dramas coming out of that contact with Orange Apex Racing. Again, I just cannot believe the twists and turns that we've seen within this race so far. Camsport still in 3rd position, trying to catch down onto Zancho Rocket Simsport. But again, I think pit stop strategy is going to come into play on that one as well. Barracuda somehow get themselves up into 4th position. Red Shell Racing up into 5th there, ahead of the sister Rocket Zancho Simsport number 3 machine down in 6th position there. E-Team Brit in 7th position. Looks like they've lost out on that 6th there as Red Shell Racing jump into the pits there. That's definitely now going to secure that position, I would imagine, for Barracuda in 4th position there. Avanti Racing in 8th, Cadan Casual Apex in 9th, and the Sedad de Velocidad in 10th position. I can't believe that in the 5th hour of the 6th race, I finally figured out how to pronounce that. And do you know what? It's because I didn't even think about it, I just said it.
That's the problem. When you start looking at a word and you start trying to phonetically say it, is when it all goes Pete Tong.
And of course, now that I've said it once, I can say it all the time now. Necesidad de Velocidad. There we go. Look, twice in a row, Alex. I mean, I'm not quite as multilingual as yourself, but I'm you know, baby steps. Walk before you start to run, Mr. Christie, of course. Well, I just tend to stumble about a bit and crawl on my hands and knees. 54 minutes left to go in the race, though, and we're currently watching Camsport's number 8 machine up the start-finish straight then, 5.5 seconds behind the second place car of Zancho Rocket Simsport. What is the atmosphere like now in the venue, Alex? I can hear that obviously you're back into the broadcast booth, but when you were out about 5-10 minutes ago there, what was it like out there? Oh, it was pretty chilled. Nice to, just sort of sample the atmosphere. It's one thing to sort of like see it from a broadcast perspective, but then to see it all together with all 15 sim rigs all round each other, and the seating area in the middle. You can't quantify what
quantify what that feeling is like. But yeah, it's pretty good, and I'm just waiting for when we hit 0. We're all going to have plenty of. It's all about the bants, as they say, David. Once we've got the podium ceremony out of the way and everyone starts making their way home ahead of another week on the cards, thanks to tomorrow morning, of course. Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere's still been as it has been all day long since people started rocking up at 10 o'clock this morning.
And on that note then, obviously, tiredness has to be a factor for some of these drivers. They've been in the venues, as you said, since 10 o'clock, getting a little bit of cheeky early morning practice in as well. And, you know, it's late on in the day. We're coming up to 7 o'clock UK time with 53 minutes to go, which means we're going to be knocking boots off of 8 o'clock before the drivers actually get finished tonight. And you know, I wonder what the plans are for a lot of the drivers afterwards. Do they go out and celebrate with their teammates? Do they all head off in their separate ways? Do you get much of that information from them, Alex?
Well, when I did round 1 with your good self in last year for the 12 hours of Bud, I think a lot of people, it was a very, very long day. And I think everyone just wanted to get home. I think I got home probably just gone midnight. Mike got home quite late, probably early hours of the morning, about 2-3 o'clock, because he's got double the length of journey that I've got to here at Milton Keynes. I hate to think what yours is going to be like when you come down here. But I think the thing is that what you got to look at it from this perspective is that come the end of the season, that's probably when everyone's going to let their hair down a little bit. But when it's the first 4 rounds of the championship, it's a completely different feeling altogether. Everyone's going to want to get home. Of course, it is the end of the week. It's coming to the end of the weekend now. And for you and myself, this is part and parcel of what we do. So a Sunday to us is just like any other day of the week. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these people do have daytime jobs to go to, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And after that, their sort of life goes on. So fascinating to see it all unfold. And we've got a yellow flag briefly out in Sector 2. I'm going to keep an eye and see if I can find out who that was bringing out that yellow flag. I can't see anybody losing too much time just now, apart from potentially maybe Barracuda, who somehow, I mean, could you imagine it, Alex? Barracuda right now in third place, actually, yeah. So they've obviously just done a different pit strategy to Camsport, who are behind. But yeah, could you imagine if they got a podium out of this?
I think they would be probably over the moon and smiling more than the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland on that one. Yeah, I think the thing is that Barracuda were looking pretty racy at the first round of the championship. Round 2, you know, you could probably think that there might have been something in the pipeline for them, but here at round 3, they qualified quite high up in the field, if memory serves me correctly, but it's ebbed and flowed for them as well.
Yeah, and on that note then, it just shows another part of the championship and another part of sim racing, that you can have a fantastically fast sim racing team on paper, but that doesn't necessarily transfer into a result, as you would see in the real life world as well.
Practical trumps theory any day of the week.
Well, see, I tried to say that, but my lecturers weren't so in agreement as yourself there. But 50 minutes left to go here, Alex, and really now this is go time. We're seeing Fordzilla. I think we need to take a second to speak about them. We've spoken, at length about Charlie Crossland, but it really is the full package they've got as a team, isn't it? The everyone that gets behind the wheel of that car has just been amazing today.
Yeah, you can't, there's no I in team. And when you think about it, it's not just Charlie Crossland that's done the business, it's Jack Ashton. I think out of all the overtakes we've seen so far over the first 3 rounds of the season, those two have definitely been the ones that have orchestrated the moves, not the moves of the season, and both of them were done around the outside at places we thought weren't possible on this circuit.
And yeah, it happened twice today. We saw Fordzilla going round the outside. I believe that was of Zancho, and we also saw, was it not Rachel Racing that were involved in one of those moves as well. So yeah, that was awesome to see. And I'm just thinking, I mean, obviously, Fordzilla Championship-wise, this leaves them in a fantastic position ahead of the final 2 rounds as we go to Portimao and we go to Spa. And I think of that final race of the season, a full 24 hours, a full day of racing. And again, do you think at this point the teams are starting to think about those final 2 races and the extra effort required for both of them?
They are, but they're also thinking about the amount of points that you accumulate. You get double points at Portimao, you get quadruple points at Spa-Francorchamps. So like I said earlier, 150 points if you win both races, and if Fordzilla, you know, at the end of the day, Fordzilla, oh, I think we've just had a car off and has just glanced a wall. Just keeping an eye on who that might be. Not too sure who that is. That could be the number 3 Rocket Zancho's. Not too sure which one it was, but yeah, it was the number 3 car that's in 6th place at the moment. I think it might have had a little bit of a moment just now. I did see a car hit the wall. Going to go to a replay now, David. And this is into one of the right-handers. Oh, back end steps out to the left, and it has a bit of a tank slapper, and the car drifts sideways, backwards. The right rear is going to hit the wall first. Actually, it's the left side that glanced. Well, no, he didn't even glance the wall. It just knocked over the Simply Race Endurance Series advertising banner there. So what a save, unlike what happened earlier on in the race.
Well, I mean, that's a crime in itself, knocking over those pit boards. I think that's got to be, what, a 25-second penalty at least for that sort of an infringement. Joking aside, though, I mean, that is a lucky escape for that Rocket Zancho Sim Sport machine to not even touch the wall there. But again, it just shows at this late stage of the race how many of these drivers can still get caught out. We're about another 5 minutes away here, Alex, from getting some pit stops going on the way. And again, I just wanted to see what you thought about... you know, we've spoken about E-Team Brit, we've spoken about Team Fordzilla, we've spoken about Zancho Rocket Sim Sport. One of the other ones that I wanted to talk about was actually Barracuda in terms of the championship. Now, they've had a really good championship. They're currently seconds, but in this race, it just feels like they've not really had the ability to be threatening after that early hijinks.
Yeah, very much the case, David. I think at the end of the day, what Barracuda are going to do, they're going to regroup after this race. There's going to be a lot of discussion, debrief, talk about the race itself, look back and see what happened, what occurred, how they could have done things differently. But the interesting thing that we have got now with regards to just over 45 and a half minutes to go on the clock, David, before the checkered flag comes out, is that we're not going to just have one set of pit stops. We could have 2 sets of pit stops. And one of the other things is, do some of the teams decide to short fuel on this pit stop coming up? Because that will mean less of a chance of them staying as long in the box for the second pit stop if they need to do a splash and dash before the checkered.
Well, that is exactly the question. I mean, you look at the likes of Team Fordzilla, they're capable, they're able, I would say, in a position to do a splash and dash if needed. But I'm looking at everywhere else, I can't see there being too much of an issue, actually, because I think that, well, maybe with Barracuda, but that looks to be the closest battle together in terms, time-wise, out on track. But I think everybody's going to have to do another 2 pit stops. I think there's going to be one in the next 5 minutes or so, and then I think after that it's going to be with about 5-10 minutes to go, and the entire field is going to have to pit, Alex.
Yeah, very much the case, David. I think it's just a case of who's going to blink first, who's going to short fuel. Are they going to need to stint tyres again? That's 3 questions that are really in the forefront of my mind right now.
Yeah, certainly the case. So with 45 minutes left to go then, we're going to let Alex go and head off for a little break and stretch his legs. And yeah, what a race we have had so far. 45 minutes or under 45 minutes left to go of a 6-hour race here at Road America. Just a reminder, if you are curious as to what is happening here today, this is a sim race that is being held in person at the Simply Race sim racing venue in Milton Keynes. It's the UK's premier sim racing competition venue. You can find out more by heading to simplyrace.co.uk and have a look up there. You can have a look at everybody taking part in those 15 pods, those teams all lined up together. It is a fantastically social affair, and everyone looks like at least they're having a good time. And I can see Martin Buchan floating about down there. He's obviously enjoyed having his takeaway. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Wagamama's that he was ending up getting there. And you'll notice as well that he offered Alex a couple of gyozas, but didn't actually save any for me, which is absolutely unspeakable. But we'll keep our eye on that one. And obviously we don't wish any harm to come of Martin Buchan's car while he's behind the wheel, do we? E-Team Brett currently down in 7th place. Cracking job done with Max Spinner and Hamish Eisner, who did a remarkable effort getting back behind the wheel. And yeah, she can be very, very proud of herself in that one. But it is still Team Fordzilla out in front, and they've done a brilliant job of putting an absolute stranglehold on this race just now. It's been a really tough outing for pretty much everyone else on the field, but Fordzilla managing to weather the storm there, despite the late efforts of Zancho Rocket Simsport and Rocket Zancho Simsport. They have very much been left worse for wear out of those confrontations. The gap's starting to eke down a little bit, but as I said, I think pit stops are going to have to come into effect very soon as well. Zancho will almost certainly blink first from 2nd place. That's the way it's been going up until this point. Campsport in 3rd position as well. They are just ahead of Ubarakuda, who are definitely bringing up the pressure now, because that gap now down to 18 seconds. As we see, going very wide. That is Karan Casual Apex down there in 9th position. Moving back then, Red Shell Racing in the number 6 machine in that red and white outfit is in 5th position. They're now 26 seconds behind Ubarakuda. Now, robbed of an amazing battle between Campsport and Red Shell Racing. We saw contact from both sides as they were fighting things out, but it was a penalty for track limits for Red Shell Racing that robbed us of that battle there, with Rocket Zancho Simsport down in 6th position as well. E-Team Brit in 7th position there. You can see them 100 seconds behind their nearest competitor, Rocket Zancho Simsport machine. And then it's Avanti Racing in 8th position, and the Kadan Casual Apex that you can see on screen there in 9th position, with Necesidad de Velocidad in 10th position. An orange Apex Racing down in 11th, with Precision Racing by Boa Esports. As we've got a yellow flag, and I can start to see people gathering around. That yellow flag is cleared off, so I can imagine that is just somebody running wide and losing a little bit of time there. I'm trying to see who that might have been. It was the Kadan Casual Apex machine that brought out that yellow flag there. So again, not too much of an issue as we go to the replay here of that one. So we can see here, again, the car looking a little bit spiky over those curbs there, and you can tell the car's already out of control, and it's a left and it's a right, and the tail end wants to send that car into the wall. And I think, just like Rocket Zancho Esports, they avoided that wall there. So looks like they kept themselves safe from harm, as we see Avanti Racing in that glorious black, red and green livery on that car. Very special, very simple livery on that car, and looking resplendent up there. E-Team Brett, we've spoken about many times through the race. It's always great to see E-Team Brit out on the field there. The team run by Max Spooner, of course, so you heard being interviewed by Alex. And then moving up through the field, 6th place, Rocket Zancho Simsport. Okay, so what could have been for this team this afternoon? They had earlier contact. They were running up in the lead. They crashed out from the lead, and that put them all the way down into 7th place. 6th place now. They've got just now, though, Red Shell Racing again could have been fighting for a podium spot with Cam Sport, but it wasn't to be after a drive-through penalty. That puts them a considerable amount of time back behind Cam Sport and Barracuda. This, for me, is the story of the day today. Under 40 minutes left to go, and Barracuda, despite being at the back of the field now, up into 4th position, hunting down Cam Sport. And to be honest with you, that gap is actually starting to come down now. So Cam Sport up into 3rd place then. They are looking very, very happy. They will be hoping that something happens, the race is red flagged, and it never, ever, ever restarts, because they will claw your hand off. They will rip your hand off to take that 3rd place. They are very happy with that one. They are very much capable of having a 1st or a 2nd place result, just not to be today. And coming into this round, 3rd place in the championship, they get some healthy points. Zancho Rocket Simsport, however, the number 2, this is the dark horse for me, because for majority of the race they were under the shadow of their sister car, the number 3 Rocket Zancho Simsport machine, until that late drama towards the halfway point of the race, where we saw the number 3 bin the car from the lead of the race in a very spectacular fashion, and then the number 2 just making her way through the field consistently and quietly, and has really been the only other car that's been able to hold any sort of pace to your race leader, which is, of course, Team Fordzilla out there in front, in the number 1 machine, in the number 1 pod, and they are number 1 on the field right now with 37 minutes left to go. And honestly, as we've said time and time again with Alex Goldschmiidt, nothing has looked like coming close to them right now. They've looked very, very consistent, very, very smooth, and as much as we'd love to see a thrilling battle for the lead, you cannot take anything away from the performance of Team Fordzilla today. It's been an exemplary a day at the races really here for Team Fordzilla. And if you've just joined us, where have you been? Presumably watching some of the other incredible racing action that we've had on today. The Daytona 24 in real life, for example, that's just finished about half an hour ago. I was watching that. I certainly hope it doesn't end the way of the GTDs. That was a bit mental. But oh, well then, that's a bad take on from back to ours for Rocket Zancho Simsport, as that is a drive-through penalty down in 6th place, and that is going to be an automated penalty for track limits. And I'm pretty sure that even up here in the heady heights of Scotland, I just heard a cheer from E-Team Brit and Max Spooner all the way from Milton Keynes. That is a bit of a result for them, and that means that so that's going to be a drive-through penalty then for Rocket Zancho Simsport. Meanwhile, the sister car Zancho Rocket Simsport, I know it can be very confusing, into pit lane then. They are in for their penultimate pit stop. Although this could be the final pit stop. If they've done this right, this could be their final stop of the day. They look like they're taking on as much time as they possibly can, as much fuel as they possibly can. 35 minutes to go. I would imagine that is safe to see that they are going to make the end of this race. We'll wait and see though, because that could be 38 minutes. It means that Fordzilla are very comfortably going to make it to the end of the race after they do their pit stop here. Now, a warm welcome back to Alex Goldschmiidt. Alex, Zancho taking a pit stop then, their final pit stop you would think of the race here. Fordzilla yet to pit, but we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, and I get the feeling that that was Zancho Rocket Simsport straight out the pits there, maybe.
Yeah, could have, if they were on cold tyres, then yeah, that's what we've seen, but who knows? I mean, we'll try and see if we can have a look and see what caused that yellow flag to rear its ugly head, as it has done it several times during the course of this 6-hour race, as we're now into the last 34 minutes of it at all. So it's going to be a case of just wait and see, and yellow flags can come out for even the smallest encroachment of having a moment going fully all four wheels onto the grass. You just don't know, but whether someone's had a bit of a spin somewhere, it's difficult to really quantify where that yellow flag has happened. But at least with the fact, with some of the sim racing that myself and David have looked at before, we haven't got 30 plus cars to worry about. We've got 12 to worry about. And the good thing is, with 33.5 minutes still to go, we still have all 12 cars still running, still circulating as things stand. So that is proof in the pudding that all the drivers and the teams wanting to make the checkered at the end of what's been an enthralling, captivating, and also very draining 6 hours here at Road America at Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin, opened back in 1955. A stalwart on the calendar for American sports car racing, and here it's provided us with a thrilling halfway point of Season 4 of the Simply Race Endurance Series. Oh, the number 5 has just gone for a bit of a spin coming out of one of the corners. That was the number 5, the Necesidad de Velocidad car, that has just had that moment there, still running in 10th position. Really good to actually have a quick chat with the Orange Apex, a couple of the Orange Apex Racing crew. They said we are going to be back for round 4 for the 12 hours of Portimao, taking place back here once again at Simply Racing Milton Keynes. Don't forget, if you do want to get involved, you do want to sign up for round 4, there are limited places available, so get them whilst you can. It's going to be the 2nd of April 2022, and then on the 25th of June we go for our twice around the clock adventure at the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps at the Ardennes Forests in Belgium, at the far western point of the country. But 31 minutes and 56 seconds to go, David Christie. It has been, as much as it's flown by, we wished it could, a lot of us would think, well, hang on, we should be 3 hours in, not 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that it does take an awful lot out of everyone involved, out of the drivers, out of the teams. It is only a 6-hour race, but it's still a 6-hour race, and that goes for myself and you as well, Alex, and poor Mike Yao, who is the one-man band production team here. The effort that goes in is... it's just nuts. I can't imagine how tired the drivers are. Yes, they obviously don't have to drive all 6 hours themselves, apart from one absolute madman who's doing that. Actually, we need to do a welfare check on them, because 6 hours, that is no mean feat to be behind the wheel. And you ask even the drivers that have been able to take a break, I can imagine they're feeling quite tired at the end of this race as well. But thoroughly worth it at the end of the end of the evening.
Yeah, I think Will Dendy's running in the number 2 car, and that's running second at the minute. So Team Forzilla looking to now come in for their final pit stop with 30.5 minutes to go on the clock. We'll get an indication of how long they'll be in the box for. 20 seconds have just elapsed at the minute as things stand. And for those wondering what it looks like when a car's sitting in the pits, there you go. You can see that the counter is the amount of seconds that the car is spending in the pits. It's 35 seconds at the moment, so just a shade over 40 to 43 seconds. We'll see that car drop back down. There we go, 42 seconds, 42.5 seconds, and Team Forzilla raw out of the pit lane, still holding a comfortable lead, which is probably going to be the best part of around 25 to 30 seconds once that car roars its way out of pit lane.
Certainly does, and the gap will come down a little bit more. But if that's the case, that they've just made that down to about 27 seconds, that's another 7 seconds that Team Forzilla have just pulled out of thin air, out of absolutely nowhere, from the Zancho Rocket Sim Sport machine behind them, in which case that is case closed, Your Honour. The defence has no further witnesses to present at this time. It's been an amazing performance by Team Fordzilla. I mean, it's been an absolute masterclass. We use that word an awful lot, but this really, really was how you do strategy in a team race event. Zancho Rocket Simsport, though, I mean, to their credit, it's been a brilliant effort. You can't take anything away from them. Camsport in third place. I still think there's an outside chance that Barracuda could take this final podium position.
Well, they're a lot closer to Camsport than they were previously, so 16.4 seconds. Yeah, they're actually taking time out of Camsport now. Last time around, it was 4 tenths to the betterment of the number 9 car in 4th place. So, yeah, not out of the realms of possibility yet, David.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. It's been a real treat to get to watch all of this unfold in front of our very eyes. Rocket Zancho Simsport, then the sister car of the number 2, the number 3, into pit lane as we speak just now for their final pit stop of the race. And this is it. This is now the final pit stops of the race. There's no two ways about it. We've seen the cars being able to do 35 minutes easily in their stint, so we're now under 30 minutes now. So anybody else might be advised to just get in now, fill up the tank, and get on with it, especially if you're looking to try and get the undercut or try and take a little bit of time from the car in front of you. But in all intents and purposes, unless you're Camsport, who are 7.3 seconds behind Zancho Rocket Simsport, there's nobody really that's in danger of getting the undercut done to them.
No, I mean, it's going to be difficult to quantify whether Red Shell Racing are going to do an undercut, because they're, 35 seconds behind Barracuda, who are 16.5 seconds behind Camsport. And when you think about it, 42 43 second pit stop, give or take half a minute going into pit lane, coming out of pit lane, that's easily a minute and 10 to a minute and 15 seconds. So we'll get a real inkling after the final set of pit stops have occurred, if they haven't already, as to where we will see our eventual finishing order. But Barracuda again, well, that time they were quite comparable. It was a 1:51.465 for Camsport, 1 minute 51.471 for Barracuda. So basing it on that, and the gap between Camsport and Barracuda has been ebbing and flowing. I think that was the terminology you coined a bit earlier on in the broadcast, wasn't it, when we got underway and we got into the first 15-30 minutes of the race. That has been ebbing and flowing, as has the gap between Zancho Rocket Simsport and Camsport in for second and third position. I mean, Red Shell Racing, after the oh no track limits penalty coming right their way, slam dunk, courtesy of the automatic stewards on R Factor 2, yeah, they'll be kicking themselves about it. But I would think that you never know, we might see a good performance from them at Portimao. Obviously, they'll be in the Corvette C8R, which is the car de rigueur at Imola, wasn't it? 6 out of the 13 cars were, I think, Corvettes, if memory serves me correctly.
I think you're absolutely spot on. You've certainly got a better memory than me on that, Alex. That's for sure.
I did my notes beforehand just to be on the safe side. So, like, how many cars were there? Okay, so we had this, and it was sort of like when they lined up for the standing start at Imola. That was when I could actually go, right, okay. You're an Aston. Oh, you're a Corvette, and it's a front row Corvette lockout. Hooray!
So just watching the Camsport number 8 machine making its way through. That is on the run down. I believe that's going down into turn 5, isn't it? There's the left-hander there. In fact, no, that's actually much further up the road. That's through Kettle Bottoms. That's going into... no, I am talking nonsense. I was absolutely right. That was the Moraine Sweep into 5. That's now 6 and then 7 as well through into the Hurry Downs. I should really trust myself, actually, because my brain knows what it's talking about, and then I start questioning it, and then it turns out it was actually what I thought all along. But the point being, Camsport, I'm not sure if... Oh, and that was a big wiggle there. Well, there we go. That's any chance of them catching up on the Zancho Rocket Simsport, I think, has now just flown out of the window with that little oversteered correction there just now. The gap to Team Fordzilla between first and second place, though, is coming down a little bit. It's now starting to go back up again. Again, I think this is just Team Fordzilla easing off with 24 minutes left to do. You know, that Cam Sport cars, is it just me, Alex, or is it starting to look a little bit unstable under braking here?
Well, especially with the degradation going into, you know, the latter stages of the race, with the evolution of the circuit itself, how has the deg affected the rear tyres? Because obviously this is mid-engined rear-wheel drive, and when you look at that caveat, you know, if you get chronic snap oversteer by hitting the accelerator too hard, you could probably scrub or step the tyres a little bit. We've got yellow out in sector 1 ever so briefly for just what was it, like literally 2 seconds just then. So maybe someone's probably had an off-track moment going through the first sector of the circuit itself, probably up to maybe say turn 4, turn 5. Yeah, I mean, there's an out of control wiggle, there's a tank slapper, and then there's a frustration wiggle. I don't know who coined that phrase, but it was someone who I worked with probably last year at some point saying it. Yeah, it's clearly a frustration wiggle, and I was just like, oh, I wonder where that random thought came from. But yeah, it's just like the back end just sort of stepping out a little bit from right to left, a little bit sketchy at the back end. So are they just sort of just trying to bring the car, they're trying to bring the car home in one piece, which is the most pivotal point of an endurance race, even though Stuart Ross-French said we're treating it like a 6-hour sprint, and the 6-hour sprint methodology unfortunately cost them with a track limit penalty. So yeah, I think it's just about just minding their P's and Q's. I mean, I was having a look in some of the pods. I think, what was it, E-Team Brit were running at 3.7 litres a lap. Cadan Casual Apex, I think it was like 3.8. So I've seen readings as high as like 3.93. I think Team Fordzilla at one point were like 3.96 in terms of litres per lap taken. You know, and it's just a shade over 4 miles here at Road America. And as I was saying, that if you get into the flow, it's really, really easy to keep into that flow, but you can make the slightest of mistakes at the wrong time, at the wrong point in the circuit. And we've seen many a code brown today, haven't we?
We absolutely have, and I think that that's the even funnier thing in terms of the type of event that we've got here today. It's not just, you know, a couple of people on voice chat and Discord who react to this. It's the entire venue. When a moment happens, you know that moment has happened, whereas you might not actually, you know, you don't get privy to that sort of intel when you're just online racing. So that's another interesting little aspect of being down there. Just a fantastic feeling. And as always, as we've said repeatedly through this, if this is something you fancy getting involved in, you fancy getting yourself a little shot of this, head down to Simply Race in Milton Keynes, simplyrace.co.uk. You can book yourself a little test session, a little private test session, get yourself acclimatised and comfortable with the sim hardware and the state-of-the-art software that they use here, and get yourself out on track, get yourself into one of the competitions, get yourself down to one of the open nights that they do. Many different events and combinations that they do as well, and you can pop down for a fun night at a very cheap price and have a great night out.
Yes, indeed. I mean, you know, they do have specials. I mean, I think there was one particular evening I came along when it used to be at the old facility. We had a Nürburgring evening and we tackled the full Nordschleife, and it was like GT3 choice cars. And what did I go for? I went for the BMW M6.
Oh, okay. And how did that go, Alex?
It was all right. I think it was like up until I think it was like a 3 or 4 lap race, and I was doing right until lap 3 when I completely binned it going through floodplats.
It's fine. It's fine. It'll buff out.
Yeah, it'll polish out.
I'm just watching actually what, Alex, is happening to Zancho Rocket Simsport. Camsport have taken about 1.5 seconds out of them in about 2 laps. This is quite interesting because that gap was about 8 seconds. That gap is now 6.2 seconds, and I believe both of them have done their final pit stops of the race. That's coming down. Are Zancho Rocket Simsport having a fuel save here to get to the end? I think that second place car was one of the first in. Were they not in, I think, with about 35 minutes to go?
Oh, that could have been right on the precipice. So if there is... this is a term, we said fuel saving, the lift and coast methodology is going to have to start coming in. And that lap time, okay, Zancho Rocket Simsport, 1 minute 52.412. Oh, that gap is coming down by a second a lap at the minute because it was 151.467 for Camsport.
Oh, this is an interesting one because if they're slowing down at that speed and losing a second a lap, and there's what, maybe about 12 laps left, maybe 15 laps left, I think Barracuda could actually be in with a shout here. This is amazing stuff that we're seeing right now. So I'm really keen to see how this one progresses because you're seeing not only are Zancho Rocket Simsport falling towards the clutches of Camsport, that gap now down to 4 seconds, Alex. What on earth? Camsport into the pits. Oh no! So any fear that I had of Zancho Rocket Simsport catching up, that's now been eluded by the fact that Camsport have had to come into the pit lane for a last minute splash and dash, and surely that means, does that mean Barracuda could take this then? Surely they don't have enough fuel either.
Well, Barracuda would in the 150.6s, David. They were quicker than Camsport. So I did say there'd be more twists and turns in this story. It is happening as it unfolds. And, you know, the thing is, Team Fordzilla are comfortable.
Wait a minute. Sorry, just to jump in, Alex, that's not a splash and dash. They've been in for 25 seconds. There's 17 minutes left to go of the race. What is going on with Camsport?
Oh, you know what? The mind boggles, Mr. Christie. The mind boggles. That was 37. Oh, hang on. I just saw 37 indicated on the side pod of that car.
That's 5 seconds away from a full pit stop.
That's probably short fuel and full set of tyres. Because they'll want that car to be up to full speed. Because now, I can guarantee you this. I think that second and third is on the precipice. We've got to wait and see now what Zancho Rocket Simsport and Barracuda do next. Now, Barracuda were 2.1 seconds quicker on the previous lap, and they're currently running in third. So Zancho Rocket Simsport, it's the old splash and dash I fear is coming.
But I don't understand that. So if they're running low on fuel, Alex, why wouldn't they just come in now, stop the bleeding and just get it done? That's a strange strategy for me for Zancho. Surely they can't hold it out for the 16 minutes. And in fact, into the pit lane comes Barracuda.
Yeah, now it is game on for the last two steps on the podium. This has blown it wide open. I've just had Mike just say to me that, Zancho Rocket Simsport are going to have to bring it in. They've got no choice. So we now have a fight, a genuine fight, and I couldn't be more excited with 15 3/4 minutes to go. Second and third on the rostrum are not decided yet, my friend.
Yeah, it's certainly not, and we're just watching as Barracuda then into pit lane. They must have a late pit lane then. What is going to happen here? All Barracuda have to do is stop with less than 25 seconds or 30 seconds even on the clock, and they would do the jump. They would do the ultimate jump over Camsport. This is absolutely huge. The gap coming down now. I don't think it's going to be enough. It's 20.5 seconds. It could be. They're already out of pit lane. They've done it. Barracuda have done the jump, and it's going to be so close with Camsport. That is sensational to come all the way from the back of the field and pitch them on strategy. That is one of the moves of the night. Alex, I cannot believe what I've just seen.
I told you we were going to have something else, a new chapter being written. It's happened right there. And that's exactly what Barracuda needed to do. Camsport were in the pits for 37 seconds. Barracuda 16.5 seconds quicker in the box. That just goes to show they must have calculated, they must have gone, right, how much do we need to not only finish the race but also have that additional fuel for that cool down lap, because as per the regulations, every single car has to drive unassisted to the pit lane after the checkered flag falls. So now, and Barracuda, get this, David, are 3.9 seconds ahead of Camsport. Now, the biggest thing from... So the biggest thing is that Camsport have I think Camsport have gone for new tyres. Barracuda, I would hazard a guess, might have decided to double stint, and I would imagine there's going to be an undercut coming, and it could be coming from Zancho Rocket Simsport right now.
Well, we're about to find out, but otherwise, Alex, the other huge implication is that Barracuda came into this round in front of Camsport in the championship, so they retain that advantage, and it's a penalty coming up for Necesidad de la Velocidad down in 10th position. Look at me just throwing it out there like it's no issue whatsoever. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, just rolled off the tongue there.
After about 40 times of trying it. But with 30 minutes to go, that is going to be the least of their worries. I think they're safe in their position. The question is now, can Camsport catch on to the back of Barracuda? They look like they've got the pace. They've taken 7/10 of a second out in that first part of the lap alone. The question is, Zancho Rocket Simsport, when did they come in? Because as it stands, they are hemorrhaging time left, right and centre to Barracuda. They're going to light up the touch paper, possibly try to extend the gap with a decent in lap and then head into pit lane. But as it stands with 12 minutes left to go, Team Fordzilla out in front. That gap, 35 seconds, can you believe that, Alex, over Zancho Rocket Simsport, and it's going to extend even more once these laps go in.
When you think about it, coming into this round, Barracuda and Camsport separated by a single point. Now, this will extend by double. It will extend to 2 points going into the penultimate round of Portimao on the 2nd of April for the 12-hour race in the GTE machinery. But yeah, 12 minutes to go. I'm now going to keep... We need to keep our eyes on Zancho Rocket Simsport. If that car manages to lift and coast enough, because, I mean, considering the gap that's between them is 63.5 seconds. It's dropping though at the moment because Barracuda are starting to light the touch paper because they just went a second quicker in the first sector in comparison with Zancho Rocket Simsport. So I've got one phrase to say: all bets are off.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely spot on with that one. Camsport are hunting as well. They want this. This could very well be a three-way fight for second place, because if Zancho Rocket Simsport continue to hemorrhage the speed that they are hemorrhaging right now, then they are going to be very, very difficult in terms of positioning for Barracuda and for Camsport as well. But Camsport right now, they look like they've got the bit between their teeth with 11 minutes left to go. They're down in 4th position. They're on the run down through turn 4. This is the long sweep towards turn number 5. This deep left-hander, and again you can see the light almost completely gone here at Roads America. 62 seconds now is the gap up to Zancho Rocket Simsport, and I think that is not going to be enough. I think it's probably going to take them about maybe 35 seconds to get in and get out of pit lane before they even put any fuel into the car. Yes, they can do a splash and dash, but how much is going to be enough, given that, as you said, Alex, they still need to do that lap after the race has finished. So Camsport now 2.2 seconds behind here. I've got to be honest, I think Zancho Rocket Simsport have shot themselves in the foot here, potentially, with the strategy. As far as I'm concerned, they should have brought that car in as soon as they realised they needed to lift and coast. If they can survive this final 10 minutes without a pit stop, then I take that all back. Then obviously they're going to be absolutely fine. But as it stands, it looks like they're still going to have to come in and take a pit stop. 10 minutes remaining of this third round of the Simply Race Endurance Series live here from Milton Keynes. We are doing the 6 hours of Road America. It's David Christie and Alex Goldschmiidt who've taken you through all of the action there. You can see the laughter, the fun, the games is all over now. It's all very serious business in front of the 15 pods and 16 pods that are there in Milton Keynes. Alex, what does the tension feel like through there?
I've got something that's going to elevate your heartbeat within, well, probably by at least 50 BPM. The fuel's been calculated for Zancho Rocket Simsport based on previous pace, a lap short. Short. However, with the gap that is significant at the moment, 59.8 seconds. Okay, despite the fact that Zancho Rocket Simsport has done a 154.693, there is a possibility of using an effective lift and coast strategy that they will hold on to the runner-up step on the rostrum. But it just depends on... Oh, and there's a moment, that is CamSport. They've just gone wide, I think. They've just gone wide there, so the gap has increased between Barracuda to CamSport to just around about the 3-second marker, so a bit of an off-track excursion there for the number 8 car. But even with the fact, if Zancho Rocket Simsport hemorrhage time, they can still nip this in the bud. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, look, Zancho Rocket Simsport with the 4 to 5 laps has given enough for the number 2 car to start pushing again, already up into the 153.7s. I'm going to keep my eyes on the lap times from the number 2, and if it starts getting into the 152s, I don't think there's going to be enough of an opportunity for Barracuda they can push, but it won't be enough.
Well, we'll soon find out, because that gap to Team Fordzilla is where we're looking as well. And you're right, I mean, the pace is definitely ratcheted up. Team Fordzilla doing a little bit of lifting and coasting as well. You can see that gap coming down. I'll tell you what, Alex, I have the feeling that it's not a case of that they've saved the fuel. I wonder if this is an in-lap, because they're absolutely hammering it right now. And yes, I get that they can save a little bit of fuel, but surely not to go at this pace until the end. You would have thought. I mean, if they only had to save one lap, then it will update. But I'm not sure about this. I don't understand how suddenly they can have this pace in the tank, and that gap's starting to come down now to Fordzilla. But you're absolutely right. They're staying out. So. Wow. Well, I mean, look, that could have been a get-out-of-jail-free card for Zancho Rocket Simsport if that is the case, but Barracuda still hammering that pace down and still catching them up fairly quickly.
Yeah, but the gap now, this time around, was best part of 1.8 seconds in comparison to previous laps where we saw a 3 to 4 second differential. I mean, look at it from a fuel conservation perspective. Flat out, you're doing nearly 4 litres a lap worth of fuel. If you're doing it at 3.2, 3.0 litres per lap, you know, you claw 4 litres back. That gives you that additional lap window you need, and I think that's exactly what they've done. They've calculated that they've probably given themselves a little bit of leeway as well. Maybe 2.9, 2.8 on the fuel mileage per lap through this stint. And that's probably what's made the difference from them having to do a splash and dash and taking the checker in second position.
Well, we'll wait with bated breath to see. But again, you're just seeing the pace differential right now. Zancho having to do some extreme fuel saving to make sure that they're able to stay in contention here. Meanwhile, all eyes on to CamSport then, this number 8 machine that we can see catching up to Barracuda, and this could potentially be even worse for Zancho, because CamSport are now firing Barracuda up. They're pushing them to have to defend that position and to push as hard as they can. But I mean, you're right, Alex. Depending on where the flag flies and how much time we've got left here, this could have worked out fantastically well for Zancho Rocket Simsport. It's still, I would say, it's still too close to call right now. But that gap now, 58 seconds. That's kind of hovering about the same mark here. CamSport down to 2.5 seconds here. 5 minutes left to go in the race. it's still way too close to even know what is going to happen here. Zancho look like they might have just done enough. They certainly look like they've got the pace back in that car to push it for the final 5 minutes. But again, surely it all depends on when Team Fordzilla cross that line in terms of how much fuel, whether or not they've got to go on for essentially an extra lap.
Yeah, well, with the leaders now in the number 1 car, Team Fordzilla looking, well, 4.5 minutes away from making it 3 straight successive victories. The 12 hours of Bud International Circuit round 1, the 6 hours of Autodromo Enzio Dino Ferrari in Imola round 2, and now we're on the cusp of seeing it being 3 for 3, and it's been an enthralling performance by the Team Fordzilla crew. They're about to come across the stripe, and the timer is now hitting 4 minutes to go, so just wait until we get another lap on the board, and that is going to probably give us I would say about 2 maybe 3 laps at most. It depends, and they've got enough of a cushion, David, to do 2 laps. They are controlling the pace.
But do Zancho, that's the question, do Zancho have enough in the tank for 3 laps if that car goes across the line to do that?
Well, considering the fact that Zancho have just gone and put in a 38.0 personal best in Sector 2
Fair enough.
Now, that, I think, that speaks volumes. You know, with the way it was like at 1 minute, high 1 minute 54s, 1 minute, I think it was low 1 minute 55s at one point. Then we saw a progressive trend in the car getting faster and faster, and they've now just done a 1 minute 50.506. That says it all to me that there is enough to get that car across the finish line in 2nd position. They've done it.
Well, we'll make sure that actually happens then. But as we speak, it's Team Fordzilla. We have to start turning the focus and the spotlights onto this car. It's been definitely the day of attention for Team Fordzilla. As Alex pointed out, it's going to be the 3rd win on the bounce for the team here, and yet another exemplary performance from all of the drivers today. Again, for me, the standout driver has to be Charlie Crossland. That incredible effort so early on, getting the stint out of the way, but not just that, setting the aggressive tone, that dominating tone for the team, and really putting his foot on the neck of the entire championship with that performance today. 2:15 left to go in the race, and we're going to make our way up through towards the final couple of corners. This is Zancho Rocket Simsport though in the 2nd position car, making their way around just now as well. This is into Canada corner, and let's have a listen to this engine then, Alex. There's no lifting, is there? There's no lifting.
There is no lift, and we've got this and 1 more lap to go because Team Fordzilla crossed the line with about 2 minutes to go on the clock, so there's this plus an additional lap remaining, and what a drive it's been for Team Fordzilla with Charlie Crossland and Jack Ashton. Standouts once again. It's just been calmness, coolness, everything that's been thrown. Oh no! The car's in the pits! Zancho Rocket Simsport, I just saw dart into pit lane!
Well, okay. So they didn't have enough fuel then. So that has massively backfired for Zancho Rocket Simsport, and that is the cruelest of blows. Again, I am in no way into strategy or anything like that, but for me, the sensible thing would have been to stem that bleeding. They're into pit lane. It's going to be a very quick splash and dash. The absolute minimum of fuel surely going into that car, and unbelievably, surely they're out of pit lane. It's a 7.9 pit stop. I don't think that's going to be enough for Barracuda to take that position, but the time coming down very, very quickly. They need to make sure that they've got enough fuel in for this final lap coming in just now. Heartbreak, so very nearly coming to the shores of Zancho Rocket Simsport. If that's all they needed to do, they can breathe a sigh of relief. But Alex, we're about to head on to the final lap here as Team Fordzilla about to cross the line. Oh, this is proper stuff now.
Yep, here at America's National Park of Speed, opened back in 1955. It's round 3, season 4, Simply Race Endurance Series. And the timer hits 0. This is the final lap of the race. It's been a dominant performance, and the pairing of Jack Ashton and Charlie Crossland at Team Fordzilla have been absolutely ruthless, absolutely cutthroat all the way through. Two of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, overtakes both round the outside at respective parts on the circuit. It has been mesmerising, David. I mean, to be completely honest, I knew that it was going to be a tough nut to crack. The pairing of the two cars of Sancho Rocket Simsport and Rocket Sancho Simsport gave it their all, but you know what, they ended up a little bit short at the end of it all. But credit where credit is due, the number 2 car, Sancho Rocket Simsport, still running a genuine P2. I can't believe what I'm seeing. That my heart was in my mouth. We've got a yellow out in sector number 1, but I just think there's a handful of corners still to go. And you can see here, they're on cruise control now, a Team Fordzilla. Last lap was a 1 minute 51.6. So David, over to you, buddy.
Yep, here we go then, through the final parts of the circuit. Then we've done through the kink, then through the infamous turn 11, up through Kettle Bottoms then for the final time, down into Canada corner. And we've only got one more corner to do, which we do in style, round through corner 14, up the hill, and it's going to be a race win for Team Fordzilla across the line. A splendid, splendid win for the orange and blue boys yet again. It's going to be second place then for Zancho Rocket Simsport, 80 seconds behind. That in itself speaks wonders for the performance of Team Fordzilla, and it's an amazing day out. They can hold their heads very, very high indeed. Through turn number 8 comes the Zancho Rocket Simsport machine, round through the carousel, 19 seconds ahead of Barracuda. It could have been tears, but some amazing fuel saving work from the team at Zancho Rocket Simsport is what kept him to be able to take that 8-second pit stop, that splash and dash at the end, and still hold on to it. We keep our eyes open as well for Barracuda and Cam Sport, but it's all about the number 2 just now. There is Barracuda. That gap is just 2 seconds just now as they come through the tail end of the circuit. Zancho Rocket Simsport are going to come across the line to finish in second place. A very well deserved after 6 hours here at Road America. Second place goes to Zancho Rocket Simsport. And now we turn our attention to this raging battle that we've seen here. Barracuda on the verge of doing the unbelievable, the unthinkable, the unfathomable. They've taken third place, the final step of the podium, from absolutely nowhere, and Barracuda take third place. That is an unbelievable drive. Cam Sport also unlucky to miss out on that one. Fourth place for them. It's going to be fifth place for Red Shell Racing, sixth place for Rocket Zancho Simsport, E-Team Brit in seventh, Avante Racing in eighth, Cadan Casual Apex in ninth, Necesidad de Velocidad finishing in 10th, Orange Apex Racing across the line in 11th, and then Precision Racing by Boa Esports in 12th. My God, Alex, that was some finish to the race there, and what an incredible 6 hours here of Road America.
Yeah, the biggest thing I just heard actually coming from pod number 9 was, yes, come on, that's exactly the kind of exaltation that a team like Barracuda needs. And what this does, it cements their second place in the championship standings going into the 12 hours of Portimao on the 2nd of April. They will be ahead of Camsport by just 2 points going into the penultimate round. And what's more, David, we've got double points on offer.
Certainly is. And Alex, what was the reaction as Team Fordzilla went across that line there then?
Just plain and simply, huge applause from everybody. It just goes to show the credence and the amount of work that both Jack Ashton and Charlie Crossland have put in over the course of qualifying, half-hour qualifying session and a 6-hour race. And after 91 laps, they emerge victorious by a considerable, comfortable margin ahead of Zancho Rocket Simsport, with Barracuda in the number 9 car rounding out the rostrum.
an amazing, amazing performance, and that podium is going to be brought to you live very, very shortly. We'll see if we can also get a chat with our race winners and also some of the other teams as well. Brilliant performance. Amazed to see that we still had 12 cars left at the end of that race. Fantastic, fantastic stuff to see there, and really, really so happy to be part of this today. It was such a pleasure. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back for the podium.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? Right, firstly, on behalf of Simply Race, thank you very much for attending round 3 of the season. We've now got our top 3 podium. In 3rd position, ladies and gentlemen, Barracuda! Now your runners-up after 191 laps, it's Zancho, Rocket Sim Sport. But so far, it's 3 for 3 because you're round 3 winners. Teams Fordzilla. Right, so, ladies and gentlemen, let's get them raising their trophies. Your appreciation for the round 3 podium. Mind the ceiling whilst you're at it. Right, we're going to get a couple of post-race interviews. Now, firstly, the team at Barracuda, I mean, it was close between you guys and Cam Sport at the end, but I'm sure that the yes, come on, I heard, was from you guys, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. First of all, well done to everyone especially these guys. Little bit sorry for Cam Sport because I kind of feel like a little bit nicked it there, but I was not going to let a third podium go away, or 3 races in a row. Sorry, I have a podium slip away, so I was fully on it, and yeah, I just decided not to change tyres at the last stop, and that got me out in front, and I just held the gap.
But obviously that means that you guys at Barracuda and Cam Sport are 2 points adrift going into the penultimate round of the season at Portimao in early April. It's going to come down to the wire between you guys, isn't it?
It always does, to be fair, between us. We're always really close when it comes to a championship. So I love racing those guys. So it's a dream come true, really.
Well done. Barracuda, your third place team for today. Right. Mr. Will Dendy, we haven't spoken in a while. I think you put both not just my heart in my mouth, but also David Christie's heart in our mouths when you guys came in, but you still brought it across the line. I heard of double stinting shenanigans with regards to tyres, and that strategy paid off well, didn't it?
Not really, Alex.
That's the real life driver in him saying that.
That was a bit of a disaster, actually. It didn't go particularly well. I threw everything at Fordzilla, including like short stints, and it just didn't work. So, because I was on my own, I'd made a miscalculation with the fuel by about 1 second per lap, but over 190 laps, that's 3 minutes. So on the last stint, I had to fuel save. That's like 3.3 instead of 3.8 on fuel. And then decided just to pit again to be safe because I was, quite far ahead. But yeah, it's good fun. These guys just too hard to beat.
Well, let's see if you can do something in round 4. So there we go. Your runners up for round 3. But Charlie Crossland and Jack Ashton. Charlie, I'm going to come to you. I think you and Jack both pulled outrageous outside overtakes. You doing it on the lead. I think, what was it, a quad stint? I think you did after Jack went in for the start. That was absolutely epic, mate. I mean, you just planted it. You knew where to put the car and just kept it pinned around the outside, didn't you?
Yeah. I just know what to do, I guess.
Come on. Yeah, indeed. And Jack, 3 from 3 going into the penultimate round of the championship. Double points on offer once again for 12 Hours of Portimao. You guys must be feeling really good. A lot of momentum. 3 from 3. It's going to take a lot for you guys to be knocked off your perch, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose for the championship we just got to get some podiums, and that's sealed the deal, I guess. But I haven't really worked it out. But I assume that will be the case. I mean, the 24 is worth a lot of points, so it could be all for play for. But it depends what happens, I suppose. But yeah, I suppose we'll just work our hardest, see if we can get 5 from 5.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, your appreciation for Barracuda, Sancho Rocket Simsport, and your round 3 winners, Team Fordzilla. Well done, guys. So they're going to just take a brief snapshot on there for the social media for Simply Race. David, it's been really, really enthralling, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I love Charlie throwing you under the bus on that interview as well there. Yes, you come out with a long-winded question, Charlie's just like, yep.
As I said, he's a man of little words, but, he does his talking behind the track. So, guys, well done. Safe journey home to everybody. A big thank you to everyone tuning here on Simply Race. That's it for round 3. Join us on the 2nd of April, where we go once around the clock at the Circuito Internacional do Algarve in Portimao in Portugal. Round 4, the penultimate round of the season. Join us then. So on behalf of David Christie, myself, Alex Goldschmiidt, Mike Yao, and the entire team here at Simply Race, it's good night for now.